living in this. Hello, welcome everyone to this Daevabad live chat. I'm Sophia, you're on my channel, and I am very kindly joined by Katie and Abby, and I will let them introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Abby from the channel Abby Salter. I love Daevabad and I love fantasy, and so that's what I talk about on my channel mostly.
Yeah. I'm Katie. My channel is Brightness Katie Reads. Yeah, I love fantasy and sci-fi, and Daevabad is probably one of my favorite series of all time. I don't own them because I have them on audio, but yeah, I just really like them. So excited to chat about it.
Yay! I listened to the audio of them as well. I have the physical copies of the first two, but not the most recent one because I wanted to have paperbacks, so they didn't.
Oh, see, I wanted hardbacks.
Oh,
I'm so jealous.
They're lovely.
They
are very nice.
Yeah.
Are they plain naked, or have they got any fun stuff?
Okay, so the first one has this beautiful end pages.
Ooh.
But they are pretty plain on the actual covers. There's not much there, but the end pages on this one are beautiful. But the end pages on the other ones aren't so stunning. That's the second one. Nothing on the cover. And then, it's the same again on the Empire of Gold.
Fair enough.
I sort of really wish I'd got the Fairy Loot editions. But
yeah, they're really pretty.
Yeah, I missed out.
Yeah. So just for everyone who is watching, we are going to keep things spoiler free for a little bit at the beginning, and then we'll start with spoilers for City of Brass, and then we'll move into spoilers for Kingdom of Copper, and then spoilers for Empire of Gold, and then spoilers for the series as a whole. So if you haven't read the whole series yet, you can stay with us until we reach the point where you have not read any of the books yet. So I'll put up the spoiler-free banner for now so that you'll all know that it is safe. Hi, V.
I just discovered the banner thing.
Yeah, it's really useful.
Good, yeah.
I often forget to take it back down again, so I just leave sprinting all the time when clearly no sprinting is happening. Yeah. So that's always good. So I know that you are both massive fans of the series. I quite liked it. I'm perhaps not as big a fan as you both are, but I did enjoy it. So when did you guys read it, and what do you think about it in general?
When I wrote down spoiler free, I wrote love it. Those are my notes. So I read City of Brass when it first came out, pretty much, or around within a few months of its original release. I've pretty much read every book on release. I then read Kingdom of Copper on its release, and then I reread Kingdom of Copper and before getting into the Empire of Gold, which I again read on release day.
Yeah, because there was a big gap, wasn't there, between Kingdom of Copper and Empire of Gold? Well, not a big gap. We're not talking.
It was a normal size publishing gap.
Oh, right, okay. That's good.
But yeah, so last year I reread the second one before getting into the third one.
Nice. How about you, Katie?
Yeah, I've just been racking my memory because I can remember. I think I read City of Brass and Kingdom of Copper together in about May of 2019, I think. Around then, May, June time. And then I read Empire of Gold as soon as it came out. Basically on release day. So yeah.
And what is it that you... Sorry, go on.
Yeah, just about a year I had to wait for Empire of Gold, which was a long wait.
Yeah, especially with that ending, but we'll come to that. So what is it about the series that you both love so much? Is there anything specific?
I think for me, I really liked the mythology in it, that I hadn't really read that many Middle Eastern Cairo setting fantasy books before. And still I haven't read that many fantasy books that are focused with this sort of mythology interwoven throughout it, exploring the different creatures and different sort of tales that were woven throughout this, with the Jinn and the Ifrit and the Marid and like all of those different cultures and creatures that I hadn't really explored before in other fantasy worlds. I also just really liked the way that it like had the mixture between like I said, the fantasy setting, the magic, the politics, the romance, the characters as a whole. I just really liked the blend and the way it was all constructed.
Yeah, I think I really love the characters. Like, I'm a huge character-based reader, and I just love them, especially Nari, because like she's a healer, and I think especially in Kingdom of Copper with the like whole hospital storyline. Sorry if that's a spoiler. I don't think it really is, but yeah, I feel like I just have a special connection to like healer characters.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and again, what Abby was saying with the politics, I really love the politics as well.
Well, that's a good thing, Bish, because you're reading it this month.
Yeah, I think I liked some of the characters, and other characters grew on me as the series went on, and I found them maybe a little bit frustrating earlier on in the series, but then kind of their motivations and things started to make more sense, and then I was like, yeah, okay, I think it's still a bit annoying, but I can at least start to understand why. And I definitely think it's really nice to have a fantasy book that isn't European inspired, and to have all of those elements that you were mentioning, Abby, that are really different from what we're used to seeing in fantasy books. And it made it a more challenging read as well, I think, in some ways, because it was kind of, we're not dealing with things like here come the cavalry and horses and swords and all that kind of thing. It was just a very, very different kind of world setup. So without getting to spoilers,
I'd agree that at least in the beginning of City of Brass, there are some like complexities to wrap your head around. Like, it did take a little bit to get used to, I guess, the magic system and the different factions within the City of Daevabad, and like getting them all straight in my head and like figuring all of that out. And as you're saying with the characters and them annoying you, I think like the characters definitely grow, and particularly because there is like time jumps between the first and the second book, where you can really see how, as people, they definitely have developed as the series progresses.
And I really like that time jump, actually. It's like, I think about 5 years, and I think that allows just like time for the like stuff to, the like politics to kind of brew, and it adds to like, I guess, the richness of the story.
Yeah.
Oh, there is one character who I don't like that much.
we can get into that when we discuss spoilers. I think I really wasn't expecting that time jump. So when I started the second book and I noticed there was that time jump, I was like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, but I do understand why it was done. And I think you're completely right. It allowed us to have that growth that otherwise might have taken a little bit too long in terms of like the series progression, especially given where it ended up going. Again, without talking spoilers yet.
Yeah, so I would.
Yeah,
and I think maybe it might.
I was surprised.
Like,
I was like, oh, 5 years time. Oh, bizarre. Oh, what's going on here? But then once we got to it was fine.
Yeah. What were you going to say, Katie?
Oh, I was just going to say, like, I think without the jump, it would have maybe been a bit unbelievable, some of the, like, character growth that happened. Like, if it had happened, like, 1 year or, like, even, like, a few months later, I don't think it would have been quite as, like, convincing.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, well, shall we start off with City of Brass type spoilers? And since we were just talking about characters, let's start with favourite characters from City of Brass. Do you have a favourite from this one?
Probably Nari.
I don't know if my preference, my like favorite characters changed really.
Yeah.
I mean, I always liked Nari as a main character. And I've heard some people say they didn't like her, but I always liked her.
Yeah.
And I actually really like Muntadia, especially in City of Brass. I just think he's so like funny and I don't know, chaotic.
Yeah, he is very chaotic. But I guess you kind of start to understand him better as the series kind of goes on. I liked Nari as well. I'm surprised that people dislike her. I thought it was really, I particularly kind of warmed to her sort of straight away in the books, like when we're with her in Cairo and kind of experiencing her life with her. And I don't know if this, well,
Sorry, I was just cleaning the camera because I looked a bit.
It's okay. Oh, it's okay. This isn't really a spoiler for Empire of Gold, but if you don't want to hear anything at all, block your ears for like 30 seconds. I liked the way that the first line of City of Brass was the same as the last line of Empire of Gold. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, I really liked that. Yeah, I saw.
Okay, 1 second.
Yeah. This is the benefit of reading them really, really close together, which I've read them each month so far this year. So City of Brass January, Kingdom of Copper February, and then I finished Empire of Gold a couple of weeks ago. I think maybe just over a week ago actually. So really recently.
It's not quite the same sentence.
Not quite the same. Close though.
Close.
Or is it? I thought it was. Is it the last line of City of Brass, or like not the epilogue and the last line of Empire of Gold? Because it's like at the end of City of Brass when Nari goes to Ghassan. I'm sure.
In City of Brass, the first line is.
No, the last line.
Sorry.
It's an easy mark.
Oh, okay.
What's the last line in City of Brass? But not the epilogue with like Jamshid, the last Nari POV. I think that might be.
Nari always smiled at her marks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's it. That's it.
So is that the one that's the same as the last one in Kingdom of Copper as well, or does that one like break the mold?
No, that one breaks the mold, I think.
We're seeing what's happening. But yeah, I like how Nari like uses the skills that she learned in like Cairo growing up in Daevabad.
Yeah, same. I like how she was able to like adapt to her change in setting. She struggled with it because I mean I think we all would if we went from being like in our normal life to Daevabad, like it would be a bit of a shock to the system. I think she adapted really well to it, and she was able to like get to grips with it all.
And I also think it's quite interesting, like especially in the first one, how she kind of she's sort of almost stuck in the middle of these like differing factions, because there's like the Deva who are trying to like pull her one way, and then the like Katanis who are trying to pull her the other, and it's quite interesting how she like tries to strike that balance.
I like that too.
Meanwhile, she's kind of trying to figure out like who and what she is, because up until now, up until she meets Dara, she's just a con artist in Cairo who's perhaps a little bit weird in terms of healing ability, but then all of a sudden she's like this important person who people are relying on to help them, and she's just like, well, but hang on a minute, I'm just I'm just some girl from Cairo who was just trying to make ends meet, and now all of a sudden I'm living in this palace and I'm being taught to heal people, and what's going on? So I think, as you say, she's probably dealing with it as well as she can, really.
And I like things like how she went from, oh, I know how to deal with like human injuries, I know how to heal them, to then going, I don't know how to heal these people. Why do they think I can do it? Like, I can't fix people that have this whatever magical disease. And like her struggles with that, and how she starts doubting herself as a healer because she's not able to deal with these magical illnesses.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I suppose you probably have kind of personal experience, Katie, of being thrown in the deep end. And
not with magical illnesses.
No, not with magical illness. That would be pretty cool, but...
yeah, no, I did relate a lot to that. And I think the author's husband is a doctor, actually.
Oh,
and you could kind of see, she must, because like some of the things, like that feeling of like being sort of thrown in and you like get something, and especially like as a student it can be quite scary, and like the medical school is not always very good at like properly teaching us, so sometimes you'll be like on the ward and someone will ask you to do something and you like want to do it for your experience, but then it's like, well, I haven't really been taught this to like where I'm confident, but I'm just gonna try it anyway. So yeah. And just like kind of using those like skills you've learned already and sort of applying them to new situations. I think there's a lot of that goes on in medicine. Yeah, although I think it's Empire of Gold actually, but I'll talk about it then. This is a really funny scene that was just making me like cringe so badly. But yeah, it's kind of a bit of a spoiler. But
okay, you'll have to tell us when we get there.
Yeah.
I think I particularly really felt for her the first time she had like a patient who was in critical condition, and they were like, you've just got to do it, and she was like, but I don't know how. And I could kill this person.
Yeah, especially like being on your own, that's like really terrifying. And I think that's something I'm like really scared of, because like as a junior doctor you generally will always have someone like senior, but then she was like there and had no one, and that was just really scary.
How did you feel about is it Nazreen? I think it's Nazreen. How did you feel about her as like a teacher? Yeah.
I really liked her actually. I think I always get the endings of like Kingdom of Copper and City of Brass confused, but she's in Kingdom of Copper as well, isn't she? Yeah. But yeah, I think I liked her. Although it was quite interesting, like she's on the side of the Daeva. I'm racking my memory here because it's been a while. But I think she was like almost the like person for Nari to kind of see the like good side to the Daeva, and like a reason for her to still like them.
I feel as though my opinions on her, like, they changed. They like flipped and flopped. Because I mean, we don't have her perspective, so you don't see her motivations. And so you could I could see why Nari struggled with her, because I guess Nazreen's coming in as like someone that's always been brought up in Daevabad. This is how she knows what happens. She'd worked with healers before. So she sort of had some expectations for Nari, and Nari's like, I can't fulfill these expectations. But it was nice to see like their relationship develop and how they grew together. And I mean, I guess how that continues in Kingdom of Copper as well. But it's interesting when you know her motivations, probably like reading it back and like seeing on reflection what she's like.
Yeah, I think that would be interesting, because I did really feel like for a moment there, especially in that one scene with the patient, I was like, oh my goodness, give Nari a break. Like, she doesn't know. You have to teach her properly, and you're not teaching her properly. But it was also coming from a place of, well, I can't do it. I can only help you to do it, and you have to try. So I did see both perspectives, but you always feel, well, if a book is good, you should always feel more connected to the character whose perspective you're getting, as opposed to the one that you're not. And then Lisa was saying there that her favourite characters were Nari and Dara. So how do you both feel about Dara in City of Brass? Because things might change.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, this is the thing I always struggle with when I'm talking about the series, because the dynamics between characters definitely change as it goes on.
Mm-hmm.
In City of Brass, I was rooting for them. I was like, yes, Nari, Dara, together forever.
I can't even remember how I felt about Dara and City of Brass. I think because I read like City of Brass and Kingdom of Copper like together almost, that they sort of get a bit confused in my head. But yeah, he's never been my favorite character. I think, yeah, I don't like him that much. Although I thought he was okay in City of Brass. But I don't think I was ever a huge like Dara and Nari shipper.
This kind of brings us on to another question. Which ship did you ship?
My ship's
in
changed.
City of Brass.
I don't know if I shipped anyone in like City of Brass, to be honest, other than Muntadir and Jamshid.
Yeah, I was about to say my ship for the whole series was Muntadir and Jamshid. I didn't care about anyone else. I was like, it has to be Muntadir and Jamshid. That's the only thing I care about.
Yeah.
I changed ship.
I can sort of see why, because like in City of Brass, and I thought it was like would have been fine with like no romance, but like in the final book, a certain romance did grow on me quite a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah.
I always feel it's a hard one to talk about, like when you're avoiding spoilers for the rest of the series, because like if you say there's a love triangle, but it's not really like
no.
But it's a weird one to talk about.
Yeah, but I did actually like Nari and Ali's friendship in City of Brass. I think it's interesting, and we haven't really talked about Ali's date, but he's such a disaster in City of Brass. He's like trying his best, bless him, but then he just keeps getting it wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he really annoyed me in City of Brass. I found Ali really annoying.
Oh no, I loved him and like his naivety. Like I could understand why his naivety could be annoying, but I just loved it. And like, I think where they're looking for the scroll in the library, and they're like getting all dusty, and they're like climbing up the ladder to get the scroll. Like just their friendship blossoming. Over like languages and reading, and I loved it.
And he's sort of like Nari's first friend, well, discounting Dara, in the city as well.
Yeah. No, I don't think it was his naivety that bothered me. It was just, I found him a little bit whiny, and I was like, literally, you have such a good life compared to the other characters.
I know a lot of people do find him annoying, and I think like he has this very sort of almost like stubborn personality, like very like set on a certain course of action. I don't know.
Yeah. He's very unempowering.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely was naive. You're absolutely right. But I think it was kind of, his naivety was coming from a place of being like really principled and fundamentally not understanding how others don't see things his way. And I think that's kind of quite common with young people. And we've all been teenagers at one point or another and thought, well, clearly we're right and everyone should agree with us, and this is the way the world should be, and it's black and white, and how could you possibly disagree with me? We've all been there. So the naivety didn't bother me in that sense. It was just the whole woe is me type approach that I was just like, how can you talk to somebody who's literally like had to steal to survive, and you've like lived in a palace and like had training your whole life, and didn't connect with him until halfway through the third book. I think I connected with him a little bit sooner, but as well, it really took until the third book for me to kind of fully get on board with him as a character.
Yeah. And I think in City of Brass as well, I mean, I did really like Ali as a character, but I think also part of the reason I really liked his POVs is because, like, we see Daevabad through, like, Nari's eyes, and she's sort of learning about it, but through Ali's eyes, we sort of see the kind of underlying tensions, and, like, because he sort of knows the city, you then get to, like, know it a bit better. And I also really like their, like, sibling relationship. Yeah, Zainab and Muntadir, and I just like the three of them. I think it's Kingdom of Copper where there's a little scene where they're all, like, plotting together in a cupboard or something. Yeah. I
think his perspective was important for that reason, because otherwise we would have just had Dara looking back on how things were, and Nari looking and being all wide-eyed and like, what is this place, what's going on, and we wouldn't have had that kind of insider perspective, which was quite important, I thought. What do we think about, what's his Gassan?
I don't like him. Although I can't actually remember how I felt about him in City of Brass, because I feel like he does get worse as the series goes on. But yeah, I don't think I ever really liked him.
No.
He was just so selfish, like, all the time. And I don't want to say what I was going to say because it's kind of spoilery, so I'll leave that for now. Shall we move on to Kingdom of Copper? Spoilers. So
not my favourite character.
Go on then.
No, well, she's not my favourite, but I do love Meniza, and I know she's the villain, but I have a bit of a weakness for, like, tragic female villains. But
I think she was a very good villain.
Yeah, I just really like her, like, whole story, and I don't know, I just like how, like, ruthless she is, and her, like, dynamic with Dara is very interesting, especially in Kingdom of Copper, like the power dynamics. And I guess a bit like, I guess that's Empire of Gold, but just how you kind of see her, like, make decisions, and you can see how she's gone down this sort of evil path, and like the way the world sort of forced her into that.
Yeah. So I think it's good having a villain that you can really see their motivations for why they're doing what they're doing. But they're not just evil for the sake of being evil. She's evil because she has a purpose for it.
Yeah.
I think it's at the end of City of Brass that we find out that she's actually still alive. Were you surprised by that? Because I wasn't.
I don't think I was super surprised, but I was quite excited. I don't know. I think I think the reveal that was more surprising to me, and I think this is in Kingdom of Copper, was with Nari and Jamshid. Do we find that out in Kingdom of Copper? That's not an Empire of Gold spoiler. Yeah. So, like, they're
right at the end.
Yeah. That was very exciting to me.
Because she's been trying to, because it's in Kingdom of Copper where they have the attack where Jamshid gets hurt and Nanza dies, and like when she's struggling to heal him, and she's like trying, it's not working, and it's because Manzea's put the tattoo on him to stop him healing, like repressed powers, and then finding out that they're brother and sister. I was like, oh, I did not see that coming.
So I think he's injured at the end of City of Brass. And it's like at the beginning of Kingdom of Copper that she's been trying to heal him throughout this kind of 6-year period that's happened off page. And like he's gradually getting better and she's able to help him a little bit, but it's not until the protesters kind of use this particular name for the fire, but they use the fire and it burns the thing off his back, and then he starts like showing his powers, and then it's like mind blown.
Yeah, and it's Kingdom of Copper, isn't it, where they at the end they like Manisa and Dara and Kaveh like take over the city.
Yeah. So the very end of Kingdom of Copper is where the very last scene of Kingdom of Copper is like basically Nari and Ali jumping out of the window and landing in Egypt, as you do.
I really like the
having the ring on Ali, didn't
Ali's finger, yeah.
I really like the face-off between Nari and Manisa, like at the end. The like whole drama is really good. Yeah, and the whole sequence of the ending of Kingdom of Copper, I really love. Like with the gas, I can't remember exactly what it is. And,
like, it's like that curse thing.
Yeah, and like when Kaveh betrays him, and it's also good. But,
yeah, that was really quite like intense. But I thought, like, you know, when Nari and Ali left to go and, you know, carve out Ghassan's heart, because again, as you do, it's like it's a normal day in Daevabad, just carry on. And left Muntadir, I was like, he's not dying. Otherwise, he would have died on page like already.
Yeah, to be honest, in any fantasy book, like if you don't see the body, they're not dead.
That's the motto I go for too. Like, if they're not being like, if it's not their funeral and like you haven't seen them die, then they're not dead.
Yeah, for sure.
And to be honest, sometimes even if you see them like literally die, they're still not dead.
True. So we're kind of talking about this now. Which ending did you prefer? So did you like the ending in Kingdom of Copper better, or the ending in City of Brass, which was on the ship?
Like on the ships.
Yeah, where Dara kind of tosses Ali over the side, and then he comes back, and it's all crazy town.
I think the ending of Kingdom of Copper was more explosive. I mean, they were both explosive in their own ways, but I feel as though like Kingdom of Copper stepped it up a notch, because it's like the whole kingdom's in disarray type thing. Like it ends, and you don't really know what's happening to Ali and Nari, and you don't know where, like, what the impact is going to be on them for having like put the ring on Ali and like left Daevabad. And like the whole ending sequence, like with and then like Dara coming back and Dara being like, because like through City of Brass, I really liked Dara and Nari together, but then when he comes back, he's quite possessive, and you're like, you're not going about this the right way. So there's like that scene, and then like the scene with carving out the heart, and the like that whole like interaction with what's her name? The mother, Manisa.
Yeah. The benefit of audiobooks. Otherwise, I'd have been completely lost.
I was thinking so
funny out by myself.
I always think it's so funny when you listen to an audiobook and you have like the names of the characters in your head, and then you see them written down, and it's like completely different from how you'd imagined like the spelling.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think I liked the ending of Kingdom of Copper better as well. Not that I didn't like the ending of City of Brass, I did, but I didn't feel like it was as impactful as the ending of Kingdom of Copper. And I was thinking as I was reading it, I was like, oh, Chakraborty's getting her own launch at the end of this. You get a Sander launch at the end of the Sanderson book, and now we're getting a Chakraborty launch at the end of Kingdom of Copper.
It kind of reminds me of that.
I think when I read City of Brass, I gave it 5 stars, but I felt as though each book like upped it Like
Yeah.
they each got better, and you could see that she got better as an author as the series went on.
Yeah.
At least for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let us now talk about spoilers for Empire of Gold, because I definitely think this was definitely my favourite out of all three of the books, and I feel like you could really see that she had developed as a writer, because I think City of Brass was her debut, so by the time she was writing Empire of Gold, it's her third book, and she's had all this input from her editor presumably, and so there was a real shift, I thought, in the writing of this one, and it was just much more complex overall, and there was a lot more going on in terms of action.
Yeah, like in terms of the complexity, I really liked how like more of the sort of immortal like creatures were sort of woven in. Like I really liked, was it the Ifrit? They're like, I can't remember their names, but they're like, there's a couple of them, and I really liked them. I just always liked the like kind of immortal people.
Eshma was the leader, Vizaresh and Candisha.
Yeah, so
I was saying to Abby before, I've got her website open on my screen so I can check names.
That's a good idea. Yeah, and like with Sobek as well. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
I definitely felt like this was like another step up again in like the writing and the complexity. And I remember reading this and loving it last year when it came out. And I remember it's one of those books I just never wanted it to end. Like, I was just having such a good time with it. And the thing is, when you start off, because it starts off pretty explosively, like you're landed in Egypt with Ali and Nari, but it just felt as though, yes, there were slow moments, like there were moments where the action like dipped a little bit, but it felt as though it was pretty fast all the way through. But it still got like to the ending, and I was like, oh my god, it's ramping up even more.
Yeah. The character Mishmish. I love them so much. I know it's just like a creature, but can you remember?
Oh yeah.
Is that the bird?
Yes,
I can't remember what
lion flying.
Yeah, like flying lion. Yeah.
Yes, that he uses to fly back into Daevabad.
Yes. Yeah.
Clicked.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite like bits. I'd forgotten about that, but I just remembered. I
really shedding mythical winged lions.
The scene that keeps coming back to me is the scene where Ali goes to meet the Marid and has his like battle scene with them, and like when he gives up his powers or like his fire powers,
his Jinn powers.
His Jinn powers become Marid more fully, and like the impact that has on him, and like that scene just keeps coming back to me today, maybe.
Yeah.
I think
I kind of go on. Sorry, Katie.
Oh, sorry. The like scene I think a lot about is the ending with like when Nari like hears the story of like, I think that's how it ends. I can't remember if there's like a chapter. It's like the second to last chapter or something, where it's talking and you find out that Nari isn't actually Manaiza's daughter. She's his like, niece.
Yeah.
And I really like that bit. And like
when Ali gives her mum's memories. Yeah, that was really sweet.
Very emotional.
Yeah, that was nice.
And I really liked the relationship between Nari and Ali in this third book, and like how they developed and their romantic relationship as well.
Yeah,
I really liked it. I thought it was cute.
Yeah, I think I agree, and like I think I'm much more of a like friends to lovers, like that trope. I definitely prefer that over like enemies to lovers.
Yeah, I did really feel for Dara in this last book though.
Yeah,
when he gets enslaved again, I'm like, no, why would you do that to him? That's awful. Just let him go.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt really sad that he felt like he couldn't just go and be with his family. He had to atone for all of the things that he'd done basically forever, because he's Daeva and he'll live forever. It was just so sad.
Yeah, I hadn't liked Dara that much prior to this book, but actually he did grow on me, like especially towards the end of Empire of Gold. I really liked him, and I really felt for him by the end. And I just think the like power dynamics he has in this book are very interesting, especially Liza and the like Ifrit. I think it's very interesting.
I really felt for Dara as well, like, and the scene at the end where he leaves Daevabad, knowing that he wants to be able to come back.
Yeah.
And like, you know that like at this point, like Nari and Ali are together, like they're happy together, but she still has like her friendship and connection with Dara. And like when he leaves, and I think I was crying. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. There's like a quote or something. I can only vaguely remember it. There's like something about, I don't regret taking your hand. Or maybe that's in relation to it. I'm gonna go on Goodreads and look up quotes. But there's a quote that like sticks in my head with them when Nari and Dara are saying goodbye. So it was making me very emotional.
Yeah. I mean, I have to, even though I wasn't like necessarily happy with the way it was resolved, I was glad that she didn't kind of just leave it that, oh, you know, all of the whatever they're called are out there in the world somewhere. Oh well. Like at least she did tie that up. I can't remember what they're called now.
Yeah,
relics, that's it,
Yeah, I like when, I know some people like when like lots of characters die at the end of books, but I don't really like that. I like everyone to like have a happy ending. And I feel like this book did that quite well. Like it was a very emotional ending, but also all the characters sort of got happy endings, at least the ones you like care about. And I know Dara's was kind of bittersweet, but I feel like it fit his character quite well.
Yeah, like at least he has purpose, and that's something that he's been missing, because he was always like following someone else's purpose like throughout the series. Like in the first book he was following Nari's purpose, and then in the second book Manaiza's, and kind of that in the third book as well, but then finally he was kind of getting his own time to be like, I'm going to do what I want to do, you know, it's going to take me eternity, but I'm going to do it anyway.
I was very satisfied with the way it wrapped up. Like it had its bittersweet moments, but I was happy with it. And yeah, I agree. I'm not a fan when like everyone dies. I mean, I don't mind a few deaths, but like I don't want everyone to die.
Because you spend so long with the characters, and if the author just kind of kills them all, it's a bit like, oh.
And I also sometimes I feel like it's a bit cheap. Like I think it takes more skill to like elicit a lot of emotion without killing the characters, rather than just like killing the characters for like emotional value. I don't know. I feel like there's a bit of
because you can't find another way out for them. Like you know, if the only way out is just to kill them off, it's a bit like, well, could you have maybe figured out a slightly more creative way to resolve this problem? Just kill everyone. But no, I think the you know, especially I still think that the kind of like the big kind of end scene in Kingdom of Copper is my favourite out of the three. But I did still like and I'm still team Muntadir and Jamshid. Regardless.
And I'm quite glad they got like a happy ending as well. And I think she's releasing like a novella like series.
Oh, is she?
Or like not a novella series, like a bind up, I don't know what they're called, anthology of like short stories. And she used to have a few of them on her website, which obviously I read them. And it's like just basically, well, there's some Zainab ones which are really good, but then there's also like some Muntadir and Jamshid fluff, which I'm very here for.
Oh, I'm going to look forward to that. I mean, like anything S.A. Chakraborty writes, I'm going to be reading. So
yeah. I'm really excited for her next book as well. Like, I think it's like pirates and like.
Oh.
It just sounds really
cool. All I heard was pirates, and I was like, sold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, theories-wise, when they met the crocodile man whose name I can't remember, I was like,
Sophia.
Yes, that's it. So
which I actually know because of a different book with the same like mythology.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I thought when I was reading the book and first encountered him, I was like, he has something to do with Nari. Maybe he's Nari's dad, but then she wouldn't be Sharfeet. So how does that work? So I thought the way that it kind of ended up, they all sort of ended up being interlinked by these kind of mythical beings in some ways, was a really interesting use of the mythology.
I like the mythology, the way it was interspersed throughout the series. And I agree, like in Empire of Gold we got more of it, and I was like,
yeah, definitely it was heavier on the mythology, I thought, in Empire of Gold,
because we had Sobek and we had the winged lions and the other creatures
and the Queen of the Marid, not really queen, you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I think like it's not just the like mythology of the world, it's actually like sometimes in stories you have like really good mythology, but it's just sort of stories that the characters like hear or stuff. But whereas in this one, it's like it's really like part of the world, and it's directly influencing events, and like these mythological sort of creatures and like almost gods are like coming to get involved in events, and that's like one of my favorite traits as well.
Yeah,
and, like godlike characters sort of come and get themselves involved in human business.
Yeah, exactly, because it's basically like Nari essentially resolves things by making a deal with the Marid so that everybody kind of gets what they want. So it's definitely kind of involving the gods or semi-gods or whatever. I'm sure Ali would call me names for referring to them as gods, but but yeah, it was definitely interesting. So one of the questions that we got on Instagram was, did you think the series was too long? Could it have been done in a duology?
No.
Abby's like, no, it was too short.
No, I think it should have been like 10 books.
Like, I would eat up any more books that she writes in this world. I will have it all. Like, she could have made this, as long as possible, and I would have kept reading it. Yeah. I think it's the perfect length for the story that she told.
Yeah, I don't think it was too long, because I think like Kingdom of Copper is a bit of a slower book, but I think it needed that time to like set up the politics and just kind of add. So I think if you'd made it a duology, it wouldn't have been sort of as like complex, and you wouldn't have had the like nuance of all the different like factions.
Yeah. I feel like I slightly struggled to follow the politics a little bit more in Kingdom of Copper than I did in City of Brass, because I feel like it kind of expanded it so far, probably because we had that 6-year kind of time skip as well, that it expanded so far that I was like, wait, sorry, what's happening now? I'm confused. Why does everyone hate everyone? Explain it to me again. I don't get it. So yeah, I was kind of a little bit lost in translation there, I think, for a little while. Whereas with Empire of Gold, I think because it narrowed again in Empire of Gold, because it was very much again back to Womanizer kind of wants things the way that she wants things, and the others want things the way that they want things, and that was it. Whereas there was just so many factions going on in Kingdom of Copper that I feel like I'd probably need to read it like more than once to fully appreciate all of the machinations that were actually happening in that book, because it was too much for me, I think.
I think I did get a better perspective on it when I reread it.
Yeah, I think it would be a really good series to reread. Like, I haven't reread them, but I definitely want to, like, soon.
I mean, I would reread it again, like, because I've read City of Brass and Kingdom of Copper twice, and Empire of Gold once. Like, I would keep rereading it.
Yeah, and I feel like some series are like good for rereading, and I feel like this is one of them.
I just filmed a video on books that I want to reread.
Oh, yay!
Nice. I did include this.
Yeah, I was thinking of doing a video like that as well, and also books I want to give a second chance to. Yeah, I like rereading. I've reread Gideon the Ninth about 3 times in the past 6 months.
Yeah, Sanderson is my most reread recently, I'd say. But I feel like fantasy in particular is really good for rereading, because so many authors do so much like foreshadowing that you don't pick up on until you go back. But I did I think it was quite early on in City of Brass when Muntadir, and I think maybe just Muntadir, shows Ali all of the bodies of what they're called, and the relic of Dara, and then it's just not mentioned again, and I was just like, come on, when is this going to come up again? It's going to come up again, but when are we going to get it? And it actually took quite a long time before we actually kind of got back there. I think it was like halfway through Empire of Gold before it was brought up again.
Just like seeding those little teasers.
Yeah, that's it.
What I was gonna mention earlier was there's a scene in I think it's 2 scenes actually, but there's one where they're like doing open heart surgery on, I think it's Ali, and he's like wide awake. So I just thought that was so funny. Not so much.
That's to get the ring out, because it's not like gelled with his heart properly, because he's mixed blood, and so I had to dive in there.
Yeah, you know, as you do.
Yeah.
No anesthesia, it's fine.
No.
Just like, you could have at least but they couldn't actually, could they? They couldn't knock him out because they needed him to be conscious to lift the seal so that she could use her magic. Yeah.
And also, I was also going to mention about Manaiza's like descent in Empire of Gold. I feel like that was really well done. I always like Descent of Villainox, and I feel like you can like almost see the like insults and how that then like tips her off a bit, like when Carve dies and then she goes down.
Well, that scene where she's like killing all the Daevas, man, that was intense.
She just like loses it. It's kind of like you can just see her like slowly lose it, and
descending. No, that scene was quite intense. I was like, wow, seriously, she went there. Ooh, that was a lot. It wasn't just like, I mean, because we already knew that she was willing to be pretty brutal by releasing that whatever it was in Kingdom of Copper that essentially just killed indiscriminately and kids and everything. So we knew that already, but then I was like, I thought the whole point of this was because you wanted the Daeva to be in charge, so why are you now killing them all? I don't understand.
I lost it at that point.
There was no like rationality there anymore. And I really felt for Jamshid, because I was like, I kind of get like she's your mum and you want to save her, but also like she's your mother, but she's not your mum. She hasn't like raised you.
Yeah.
So, and clearly she's just...
I love Jamshid.
Yeah. Yeah, Jamshid's a really good character. I think he's probably one of my favourite characters.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to the novellas that she puts out, the like short stories.
And I think with Jamshid and Nari as well, I really like their like almost like sibling relationship. I think they're really like good for each other. Like having, because they've both been pretty alone like most of the time. I mean, I know Jamshid had Kave, but like just seeing them like having someone like family was very like emotional.
And I thought that he was really sweet at the end when he was like, "You're still my sister, even though you're not actually like literally my sister. You're still my sister."
Yeah.
Like, she's been your sister for 5 minutes and you already are like that. It's so sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Are there any? Yeah, exactly. She really did. It was just like no holds barred. And then I was getting really frustrated with Nari at one point when she was battling with Dara and he was like all but telling her like, I can't not do this. And I was like, oh my god, just understand already. He's not wearing his ring.
Yeah, I remember that scene.
I was like, damn it, figure it out. But to be fair, I wouldn't have figured it out, so I can't be too hard on it. Oh, yeah, so on the whole, an enjoyable series with some really good characters, and I think definitely the last book was my favourite by far. I think it was definitely the best one out of the three. But the end scene in Kingdom of Copper was still my favourite out of all three endings. I think that's my summary, I'd say. Anything you guys want to add?
I think I could agree with that. That I think, each book's got better and better. But that end scene in Kingdom of Copper was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think for me, like probably Kingdom of Copper and Empire of Gold are like equal, like in terms of my enjoyment. I think Kingdom of Copper, I just really like the whole like hospital storyline, and when they're like rebuilding that. And also, I think I was listening to the audiobook when we were on holiday in Lanzarote, so like that just back when you could go abroad. And so I guess that just has a bit of a special place. But I do think like objectively, Empire of Gold is the stronger book, and I obviously loved it, like easy 5 stars. But I think. Yeah, like in terms of enjoyment, I probably enjoy Kingdom of Copper just as much.
Yeah. Nice. Well, we've been chatting for nearly an hour now, so I'm sure you both have things to do with your bank holiday evening. It's been really nice. Sorry?
Food.
Yeah, well, me too. Yeah, me too. It's been really nice chatting with you ladies about these books. Everyone who's watching either now or in the future, Katie and Abby's channels are linked in the description bar, so do head over to their channels and check out their wonderful content. You will find that they both like fantasy just as much as I do, so if you like my content, you'll like theirs too. And thank you everyone for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
No problem. Bye.
Bye.